Hello and welcome to Universal Heritage Television Nigeria, your premier online television in Imo State. My name is Afam Echi, your host. We are continuing again today another package in our face-to-face program, a personality interview program. We are going to host Professor Aham Ikumezie. Professor Aham Ikumezie is a professor of economics at the Imo State University. I also have to remind you that he is currently the Director of Academic Planning in the university. He's also a member of the National Economic, or is it Nigerian Economic Society of Nigerian Economic Society, as well as a Knight of St. Christopher. And I also know that he is a prominent community leader in Amandowa, Isu local government. Prof, you are welcome to our program.
Thank you.
Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform. Yeah, we actually brought Professor Aham Ikumezie here to rub minds on some contemporary issues affecting our society. As a professor of economics, we are going to draw from his experience and some of the solutions he might proffer, which if the authorities listen, might help the country. Prof, let me begin with the entry behavior of our current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. During his swearing in, many Nigerians were taken by surprise at the way he began to put steps on issues that affect their welfare. I'm talking specifically on the issue of subsidy removal, petroleum subsidy withdrawal or removal, as the case may be. How do you see his action? How do you see the step he has taken? Because it has been receiving a lot of interpretation from Nigerians. Some say that's a very bad way to start. Some say it's a sign of the things to expect. I don't know what it is for you. But all the same, we want you to, at the end, tell us what we stand to benefit the stakeholders in this withdrawal, the government, the consumers, the petroleum dealers.
Thank you. I think that statement was a slip of tongue. And he has since retrieved the statement, even though some damage has already been done. When government makes announcements for things they want to do, in economics there is always what we call announcement effect.
Okay.
And what really happened after that announcement is that effect. And that is why today the price of fuel per liter is about 500 and something naira a liter.
Prof, let me ask you, don't forget what you're saying.
Yeah.
You called it an announcement effect. That was what hit Nigerians. And although the president actually retracted the statement, saying that he didn't mean it because he said in June, and we haven't gotten into June, and then everywhere was let loose with wahala, with palaver all over the places. Now, how do you reconcile that with the action already ongoing, where the NNPC, has thrown out a regime of fuel prices, just like you said, 515 naira and 537 in some other places. How do you reconcile it? The president said he has not taken, his policy statement has yet to be concretized, and yet we are seeing some actions. You get what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, NNPC is a government agency.
Okay.
And for a government agency to have immediately implemented that announcement,
yes,
is something else.
Okay.
Like I said, announcement effect is not only on petroleum subsidy or whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to have a salary award, and you begin to announce it before the salary is awarded,
Okay.
you will discover that inflation will start before even the workers
Receive
the salary. And we, as economists, have always been asking government to avoid these announcements. They create problems.
Okay. Okay.
Then coming to the fuel subsidy removal and benefits to stakeholders and all that.
Yeah.
What is fuel subsidy? Nigeria has refineries.
Okay.
And they opted to take their crude abroad, refine abroad, and bring it back to Nigeria.
Okay.
By so doing, they have internationalized the petroleum price. The cost of production outside Nigeria may be higher than what we have here. And when these things are refined outside, including the transport back to Nigeria, the country has to incur a lot of costs. And to cushion the effect of that cost, because if you allow petroleum to be sold exactly the price it was brought into this country, it may not be affordable. The government came up with the financial assistance, what they call a subsidy, so that that will reduce the pump price of petroleum. Then the question is, why can't we refine our crude petroleum? Why can't we refine it here?
So that is the big question.
It's a very big question.
Yeah.
We have refinery in Kaduna, the biggest. Mm-hmm. We have refinery in Port Harcourt. We have in Warri. And these refineries... And
recently we have a modular refinery in Imo State.
Imo State. And then presently, Dangote has come up with another very big refinery. If these refineries are functioning, there wouldn't be any need for subsidy. There wouldn't be any need, because it will wipe out the expenses or expenditure made on transportation from abroad and all that. And then the high cost of production, because the labor cost overseas is very high, and they will translate into high cost of or high prices of this petroleum product. So
Prof, that is the real issue, the big issue, the challenge, something that appeared to have overwhelmed the government. If you check the previous administration, from the time 8 years of Buhari and 6 years of Jonathan or so, and down the line up to Obasanjo, we kept talking about bringing these refineries on stream again. We keep talking about turnaround maintenance. Is that not an indictment on the government? So how do we explain it that a country and the government is saying they are subsidizing fuel consumption in this country? What is really the challenge? Where do we locate it? The inability of the government to turn things around.
Yeah, the blame goes to government. The blame goes to government because only the government knows why they cannot get those refineries working. Those are involved in bunkering, which even though I know is a criminal activity. They don't have sophisticated refineries. Yet, they are turning out a lot of refined crude oil. And people are using it. So why can't our refineries be working? If you move from here now to Elele and move towards going to Ahoda, you see a lineup of tankers waiting for petroleum products coming from the bush, illegal refineries by oil bunkers,
Okay.
and so on and so forth. So what is said? What is the difficulty in putting these refineries to order so that they can function properly and then stop this problem of refining the crude petroleum outside? It's like in those days where Nigeria was exporting primary products like cocoa, like granite, like palm oil, and when it's exported, they use them for making products and bring them back to this country and sell to us at a very high price.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like it's something that borders on leadership.
Leadership.
Yeah. But again, it rattles the mind that it maybe it questions the sincerity of government. I don't know where you stand, because some people believe that the government has not been straight on this issue. The point made there is within 2017 and now, Dangote has come up with a refinery. Dangote as an individual, if he can do this, then what is difficult for governments to be able to do what Dangote has done? You know, do you understand the argument? So where do you stand on it? Do you think government is not sincere in these things, or maybe they deliberately choose to suffer the citizens?
For me, you remember when Buhari came to power?
Yes.
One of the areas he acted immediately was on the refineries.
Yeah.
The Jonathan administration sold some of these refineries to Nigerians, businessmen, and then the government came immediately and said they are going to, repay these refineries, and stopped the sale. I retrieved it from those who bought the refineries.
I think it was Yar'Adua government that did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's either the person who is leading may have good intentions, but along the line, the system itself is bad. The system itself is bad, because if if Buhari had this intention, another question is why couldn't he continue with that policy?
Yeah.
What happened in between?
As Minister of Petroleum.
Yeah.
He presided over.
He presided over.
As the Minister of
Yes.
Petroleum. Okay. Okay, now we know that without a stable economy, nothing can work. And as an economist, you already know the state of affairs, the way we are, where we stand economically. For the new government, what would you like to set as an agenda, an economic agenda for the new government? Something that can delight and lift the entire country, out of economic doldrum.
Okay. Before I answer that question, I want to add to our discussion on the fuel subsidy.
Okay.
Petroleum or fuel is one commodity that is very essential. It's essential in our domestic homes. It's essential in our commercial activities. It's essential in transportation.
Yeah.
And as long as there is no close substitute, the demand is inelastic.
Okay.
It's inelastic in the sense that even if you sell it for 1,000 a liter, people will still be buying, but it will impact negatively on the economy because it seems to drive every other price up.
Okay.
There is what we call multiplier effect.
Okay.
The multiplier effect.
Okay.
So once you touch something like petrol that is inelastic, no close subsidy, if there is any other item that does what it does,
you can find an alternative.
You see people move from to that area.
Okay.
So as long as there is none, the people will continue to buy, and then the multiplier effect is there.
Okay.
The multiplier effect in everything we are going to, it will drive the prices of every other commodity, goods and services in the economy, and that leads to a higher inflation.
Okay, so now this is a product that has no substitutes now, and the consequences of we must buy it.
Must buy it.
Okay, and it drives up every other cost. Now, how do you achieve a balancing effect because not every person is resourced to be able to afford the price increases that will cut across, that will affect every other thing along the line. So what do you suggest? What do you look at as a way possible to cushion the effect of these things on the poor masses, especially those in the rural environment?
Before the subsidy is removed, a lot of things need to be put in place.
Okay.
One is that the refineries should be made to be working. Then with these other refineries that are not working, and with the new refinery built by Dangote, I'm sure that the supply needs of Nigerians will be achieved.
Okay.
Then the next thing is palliatives. Even if you give palliatives without allowing these refineries to work, the palliatives will have no meaning. Because if you pay me a salary of 100,000 a month, and each time I go to the filling station, I buy 10,000 naira for, within 10 days, I'll finish my salary just on transport.
Yeah.
So, apart from the palliatives, these refineries should be working.
Okay.
These refineries should be working.
Okay.
There is no country that lives its economy to be dependent on another economy.
Yeah.
You just produce primary products and allow feed from other foreign countries.
Okay.
Even if we need to import, the importation must be very minimal.
Okay. So in all, the summary of what you are saying, palliatives or no palliatives, fix the refineries. That is what will
yes, fix the refineries.
Okay.
Then on the question of what I recommend for the administration, bearing in mind the state of the economy now.
Yeah, the
economic agenda. There is nothing different from the same macroeconomic objectives.
Okay.
And that is, government should aim at reducing the rate of inflation. Government should aim at reducing the rate of unemployment. Government should aim at achieving stable exchange rates.
Okay.
Government should aim at increasing sustainable economic growth. Increase and sustainable economic growth. And so on and so forth. And that's what the macroeconomic objective of any economy is all about.
Okay.
And any action that we are embarking upon that is not geared towards achievement of this, we are in trouble.
Okay, it is curious to ask, these things, like you've just read them out, is it to say that the government have not been practicing them, that is why we are where we are today?
Yeah, at times they are there in paper.
Okay.
But the process of achieving those objectives along the line, they get derailed.
Okay.
The immediate past administration did not have a well
articulated
economic policy, and then you cannot even see the economic team. During the Obasanjo's regime, the economic team was there, led by the Minister for Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And they have people like the Governor of Central Bank, Soludo, in that team. You have Obieze Ezekwesili and some other people.
Okay.
They brainstorm, and when the economy is derailing, they know what to do.
They take steps.
Yes.
Okay. But this, in the past administration,
they were not visible at all.
Okay. Okay, now let me take you on a very critical issue. You are a professor, and those in the academia class themselves as belonging to the oppressed class. and following the agitation for one thing or the other, every now and then, ASUU is on strike. And one will expect that they should champion any opportunity given them to advance the country. They will take very good steps. Now, in the last election, most of the people that were used, to go against the will of the masses were professors. I don't know how you feel, being in that class, and at the time there was an opportunity to redeem the situation for Nigeria. Your colleagues bungled the whole thing. How do you feel about it? Because we don't know how. It is shocking to some of us that the man whom everybody is looking for opportunity to redeem is now also torpedoing the situation for others.
Yeah. When you invited me here, you expected me to make comments on the economy, but you are gradually dragging me to politics.
No, it's not a politics.
However,
this is a social issue that affects all of us.
However,
yes,
anybody that was recruited any professor that was recruited to do a job for INEC,
yeah,
and who decided to do something wrong or the other way, did not do that because he's a professor. It was an individual thing. There were people who were approached and they declined.
Okay.
But those who accepted on their personal convention.
Okay.
So even if they were journalists,
yes,
they would still do the same thing.
Why must it be journalists?
So
Why must it be?
Even if they were journalists, they didn't do it because they were professors.
Okay.
So even if they were journalists, they would still do the same thing. And again, I have to say this. I fairly have an idea of how the electoral process goes.
Okay.
The duty of a returning officer is to announce collated results. If anybody leaves that assignment and begin to do some other things, that is his own problem. Results come from the polling units.
Yes.
And every ward has a collation center. All the results from the polling units come to the collation center of the ward.
Yes.
At the wards, you have collation officers at the ward, and they collate all the results from the polling units and take them to the local government. At the local government, you have another collation center with a returning officer. So what the returning officer does is that the collation officers at the local government in a hall will sit down. When these results come from the ward collation centers, they collate all of them, add up, and hand over to the returning officer. The returning officer will make sure that what they added were correct.
Okay.
And then if there are results that are not properly written, either mutilated, the collation officer has right to reject or accept those results. And then when the figures are announced. But if a professor has gone beyond that responsibility of what a collation officer, a returning officer should do and do some other thing, is on his own.
Okay.
We as a body, as a union, ASUU does not ask anybody to go and do an electoral job. ASUU does not ask anybody to go and do this. Anybody who accepted to do that job accepted it of personal merit. He has the right to decline. He wasn't forced to do it. And if he has done anything different from what he's asked to do, he did that on his own.
Possibly it's because of their personal weaknesses that got them indulging into those unwholesome conduct. Anyway, you've tried to defend your colleagues. They did not rig because they are professors.
No.
Okay. Now let me take you to a very disturbing issue. Disturbing in the sense that food security is very, very important in our society. And those of us here in the southeast region, that what used to be the eastern region, in the past, food supply does not used to be, wasn't that much of a difficulty. Unlike now, we are so dependent on food coming from the north. Now, you discover that millionaire or billionaire Igbo men, big, rich Igbo men, are not into agriculture. I don't find them in oil and gas, in real estate, in telecom, in commerce, in every other form of business, but agriculture. So why is it so? Whereas we still have arable lands all over the place. What do you think that's making them to shy away from investing in agriculture? Grow our own food, even in spite of all the huge opportunities. You get my question?
Yeah, I get. I think that one, the way agriculture is presented when we are growing, it looks like a punishment. When we are in the primary school, if you commit an offense, they send you to gang do this. It looks like a punishment. But then agriculture has gone beyond manual process.
Yeah.
Agriculture today is mechanized. And any country, any state that cannot feed its people is a failed state. If you depend on food that comes from outside, you can be sabotaged. What I think the government should do is to mount a lot of campaign and then make available the conducive environment. Today, insecurity is everywhere. Agriculture needs an expanse of land, and that cannot be in an urban center.
Okay.
And those that want to invest in agriculture should have that security. Government should put a conducive environment and then make available conditions that make it easy for them to have source of capital.
Okay.
They should have source of capital.
No, actually, there is a lot of windows. There is a lot of the federal government has created, made a very attractive condition to enable people go into agriculture. But the thing is that our people are not taking advantage of it.
Yes, it needs a lot of campaign.
Okay.
Campaign, and the federal government is making a lot of campaigns, but the states should follow suit, especially the states in the southeast where agricultural activities are not. In the north, I agree that in the north you have very good soil. When I did my youth service, I served in Maiduguri. And for 1 year, I was a copper in Maiduguri. It rained about 4 times only in a year. Yet, when they plant, their yield is always another problem here.
So how do they resolve that?
The type of soil retains water. Their type of soil retains water. But our soil here, and there is not much of irrigation facilities here. In the north, for example, in Maiduguri, you have from Lake Chad, a lot of irrigation work and all that.
So they do farming all through?
Yes, they do farming all through.
Okay, which we don't have here.
We don't have farm here. We do seasonal farming, and the River Basin authorities, the one we have here, Anambra Imo River Basin Authority. I think some time ago it was only in Anambra, a town called Omo, that they had irrigation projects. I do not know of any other place that you can find irrigation facilities around here.
That Anambra Imo River, is it still in existence? Is it still functioning?
It's still there. It's still there. Wow. It's still there, but the activities are not seen anywhere. But the activities of those in the north,
yes,
are more pronounced.
That's okay. Okay, maybe we'll be coming to round up the program, but before then, let's take this one more question. Now, let us look at Imo State now, or even the country as at the country at large. Let us look at, assuming you are made the president or the governor of this state. If you are made the governor of this state, what is the one-point agenda you will pursue? Economic agenda that can turn around the situation for everybody. If you are sitting there now as Governor Hope Uzodimma, what would you like to do that can impact the economic life of Nigerians, Imo people?
Industrialization. This industrialization involves every sector of the economy, including agriculture. Because what we have just discussed about agriculture, if agriculture is mechanized, it will be more attractive.
Mechanized.
Yes.
Mechanized. Do we have the capacity? But why I ask this question is, why is government not having this vision? You talked about industrialization. They will mention it, like you said, on paper, but in reality, it's not being achieved. Why is it so? You talked about industrialization. I don't think they do not know that industrialization is a key strategic
industrialization. You back upon establishing on light industries. Not even
light industry. What do you mean?
That will take more. It's more labor intensive.
Okay.
When you go for high tech, because one of the biggest problems we have in Imo, for example, is unemployment.
Okay.
When you establish light industries, they will absorb a lot of unemployed youths. But when you go for high tech, 2 or 3 people can do what 100 people can do. It's a question of switching on and switching off.
Okay. So if we industrialize Imo State.
Yes. Let me give you an example. When Chairman Mao was the president of China, if you read the economic history of China, they belong to the same Soviet socialist group. Russia wanted to use such areas as dumping ground for their manufactured products, but Chairman Mao resisted it. Established light industries, because China has a record of being the most populated country in the world.
Okay.
So light industries, if they are going to weaving, instead of using highly mechanized weaving, they now have labor-intensive weaving industries, where you use men doing this from this to this, and then it absorbs a lot of their unemployed people. So, and he continued. You can look at what China is today, until they grew to a level that they now. There's no type of high technology you don't have in China today. So one thing is deciding to industrialize. Another thing is that which type of industrialization. You don't need that sophisticated type. We need, labor-intensive industries that our people will employ.
Okay. Here we draw the curtain for the program. So before you leave, what advice are you going to give to Nigerians, Imo people, and the government?
The advice is that every hands must be on deck. We must play our roles. A situation where government is making some efforts and some people sabotage that is not fair. If government is ready to work and the followership is not ready to follow, then it will be difficult to achieve our targets.
Okay, viewers, this is where we draw the curtain. You have heard it from Professor Aham Ekwumezie. He has told us that what the government needs to do to play up the economic system is industrialization. And he has said too that the professors who indulge in election malpractice are not doing so because they are professors, perhaps as a result of their personal weaknesses. And he has also told us again that any country that depends on other countries for its food security is a failed state. On this note, we say thank you for being part of the program. Prof, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is the end of the program. Please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube platform. My name again is Afam Echi.
Thank you.
Thank you.